War. War never changes.
What's up, Wastelanders? Boys and girls, prepare to be astounded, bedazzled, and otherwise stupefied.
You talk a lot. Sound funny when you talk like a stupid human. I am online once again. Tremble, world, before my electric heating coil of doom.
What's up, Wastelanders? Hello and welcome to Tapes from the Wastes, a Fallout fan show bringing you Fallout game discussion, lore talk, news reactions, and all things Fallout. I'm one of your hosts, KDB, and as always, later you will hear from my co-host, Eric, aka Sulior. Happy New Year, everybody. Is it too late to say Happy New Year? What is it today? It's the 9th today, so yeah, that's probably too late. It's embarrassing. Sorry. A belated Happy New Year. Just how are you, I suppose? How was your New Year? How was your festive season? Wait, have we checked in? No, we haven't. The last episode we did, obviously, was the reaction to the premiere of Season 2 of the Fallout TV show. So this is our first episode of 2026. We are off the mark. We're underway. And there is plenty to talk about today, which I'm going to get to. But yes, I hope everyone's doing well. It's obviously... I wasn't really going to go in this direction, but it's a crazy world out there. It's been a wild start to January for people here in the UK and in the USA. So I just hope everyone out there is doing good. I've definitely had a very pensive week, as some might say. You may have no idea what I'm referring to, but I'm just talking about, global shit and stuff happening out there. But Fallout, this podcast and my other podcasts, they're always an escape. I like checking in, talking to myself, talking to you guys. I'm not talking to myself, that would be insane, right? But yes, it's been a funny old start to the year. I'm just so short of time as well. Everybody, it feels like we're all busier than ever. We're all being bombarded with a load of crap that we have to deal with, which then, how are you supposed to be in the headspace to record a podcast? And as you know, I do a few different shows and I'm behind schedule. I've got a couple of pieces of content I'm supposed to be putting together and I'm already a few days behind. So yeah, just life, work, everything. I'm using this as my, personal therapy session for you all. So I hope you don't mind. But we're here and I hope it has been a positive start for you. Everybody's always got stuff going on. I have friends with stuff going on, and I'm just using this as an opportunity to send a huge shout out, some love to my friends out there who are listening, people I work with, people who I work with in this content world. And a big shout out to Eric, as always, for holding things down in the Fallout community for us between episodes, which he just continues to do massively well. But I am okay. Okay's fine, right? That's adequate. We'll take okay. Because there's been a lot of that this week. People at work, how are you? How was your Christmas? Yeah, it was okay. I really hate small talk. I try to... this might sound really sad and pathetic now, but for anyone that's seen Shaun of the Dead, there is a quote that I stand by that is my go-to when anyone asks how I am. In Shaun of the Dead... when Sean and who's his old friend that he meets? I forget her name in the movie, but she says, "How you doing?" And he says, "Surviving." That surviving, that's my go-to at work. When anyone asks how I'm doing, how you doing? Surviving. I'm surviving, because I think it just kind of perfectly encapsulates my life and the lives of many people I know. But this is a weird intro. I'm feeling weird. Like I say, I'm trying to motivate myself for the start of the year 2026. But despite all the shit out there, there is lots of fun stuff still. Like this TV show, like this game, like the world of Fallout that we love. The topic of the episode today is our mid-season check-in for Fallout Season 2. Which I'm going to give you some thoughts on how I think it's going with these few episodes. Obviously, I'm not going to dissect every single thing, just more of a broad overview. And then, of course, I'm going to hand to Eric, who's going to give his thoughts as well. He's going to do kind of similar what he did before, which is a bit of a more of a play-by-play breakdown of the episodes, a bit of a refresher. Whereas I'm just going to give some broad thoughts, because when the season wraps up, that's when we're going to do our deep dive on everything, character, story, presentation, all that kind of stuff. So I'm looking forward to that, and we're going to do that together. We're going to get together for that. But that is the main topic of today, the mid-season check-in. We do have a little bit of Fallout news to check in on first. Well, there's a couple of things. There's two things. Now, okay, so we don't really, and I've said this before, we don't really perpetuate leaks, and this isn't really leak stuff, I suppose. There's been some reporting that Fallout games are on the way. Now, I kind of don't mind talking about that because... Oh, hold on, let me just turn my laptop charger on because the battery's about to die. Yeah, I kind of don't mind talking about this because this isn't like, you know, story leaks and character leaks and trailer leaks. That shit, no. I don't perpetuate that. But I think we can safely assume in this world of capitalism, in this world of entertainment and video games and consumerism that we live in, Fallout is a moneymaker. So they're going to be making some more Fallout games. To speculate that more games are on the way seems perfectly fair game. To even hear confirmation that, yes, there are games in production, I don't really take that as leaks. It's like, of course there are. Of course there's games in production. Why wouldn't there be? It's a huge franchise. Fallout is bigger than ever. And the TV show has a big role to play in that. Now, so there was a report. Well-known Xbox fan and journalist from Windows Central, Jez Corden, did a 2026 what's Xbox going to do in 2026 report, which you can go and read. And, you know, Jez is kind of slowed on the leaks, I suppose, and he himself, I've heard him talk about how he's very picky about what he reports on because, you know, this leak culture thing, it's not really helping anyone apart from the people that leak stuff for clicks and stuff like that. So Jez tries, I think, to be a bit more sincere with his reporting for the most part, I suppose. But he did mention Fallout in general and Fallout's plans for the year. So, and as I say, I don't really consider this leaks or spoilers. It's just, it's kind of confirmation of what we'd all assume is happening. And effectively, Jez says that he has heard that we will eventually be getting a Fallout 3 remake in the vein of Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remastered, as well as a Fallout New Vegas on top of that. Jez says, I'm told Obsidian of Grounded, The Outer Worlds, and Fallout New Vegas has 4 new game projects, some big, some small. Fallout co-creator Tim Kaine also joined the studio a short while ago. I'm not sure if any of these projects are Fallout related, but either way it shows Xbox isn't taking its foot off the pedal when it comes to content. On the topic of Fallout, we're of course eventually getting Fallout 5, which I understand to be green-lit. Bethesda's Todd Howard noted at a previous interview that Fallout is receiving a ton of investment right now. It could be a while before we see the fruits of that labour, but perhaps we could see them teased at an upcoming show. So go and look at Jez's report on Windows Central for the full Xbox story. But a couple of things to touch on there. I think that Todd Howard has already confirmed this, right? In the Fallout anniversary, where he did like a tag on the end of the video where he said he knows that we want games. And he didn't say, look, Fallout 5 is coming and this is coming. He just said, I can't wait to show you what we're working on. So that was effectively the confirmation that new Fallout games are coming. I've said on this show, and I think it's a broad consensus that obviously the Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remastered did so well. It's 10 million copies or something like that it sold, which is insane numbers for a effectively 20-year-old game that's been brushed up with some new graphics and quality of life. And I feel like Fallout 3 could do better than that. You know, a remaster, a remake/remaster, a remakester, as people like to coin it, of Fallout 3, in my opinion, makes more sense than Oblivion. Oblivion and fantasy, it's still, you know, it's very popular in gaming, but it's still niche. I think Fallout, and this is why the TV show is connecting so well, I think what Fallout has to say, I think Fallout 3 as a game, you know, in its legacy, connected with more people. What did sell more? I think Elder Scrolls probably sold more. What sold more, Fallout 3 or Elder Scrolls Oblivion? Now I'm going to get one of these stupid AI answers for this, aren't I? So I hate these AI overviews. They do have linked sources here, which can help sometimes. Okay. No, yeah, Fallout 3 smashed it. Exactly as I assumed. According to this, first week sales of Fallout 3 were 57% stronger than the launch of Oblivion. Estimated sales by 2015 of Fallout 3 are 12.4 million copies. Estimated sales of Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion by 2015 was 9.5 million copies. No fucking way. So has the Oblivion remake sold more than the original? I'd have to check that out. Sorry, I don't have these numbers here. And look, these AI overviews, take them with a pinch of salt. And this is really bad podcasting of me. As I said, my time is limited. There are linked sources here. Yeah, they're linking to, some reports and stuff on the website. So I'm going to take it with a pinch of salt. But that is kind of what I assume. I think Fallout has a bigger reach than the Elder Scrolls. I just think more people are interested in what Fallout has to say and its style and its themes than fantasy, which is, although more popular than it's ever been, it's still, it's for the hardcore nerds. And I'm one of those people, right? So, yeah, my point being to assume that for the Oblivion remake to do so well, to then assume that Fallout 3 one is not far behind in this with the same process, because why wouldn't they do that? I think it would be naive to think that that's not coming. I think it's obviously coming. Now, whether it's coming soon or this year is very hard to say. I understand that this Fallout remake has been obviously not officially confirmed. It's been floating around the time of the FCC case and stuff. There were some documents. It's been on the docket for a long time, and there is a very good chance that the Oblivion remake and the Fallout remake were pretty much developed, not side by side, but in tandem. And I think this Fallout 3 remake is probably what's coming next. I don't think it's very far away. I'd be surprised if it wasn't this year, because as I say, I think they've been developed in tandem, and what they've done with these games is they've used the bones of the original, right? So, yeah, FCC was 2021, 2022, 3 years. So Oblivion remake was a year ago. A year out from that, a Fallout 3 remake. I think a Fallout 3 remake is this year. I would be surprised if it's not. If it's not this year, it's early next year. New Vegas remake is probably coming later. Tim Kaine rejoining Obsidian. Obsidian have been very coy about it and made comments about they'd love to work on Fallout and stuff like that. I think they probably are. They've been pumping out games left, right, and centre. There's obviously a lot of investment going into Obsidian. Fallout. Todd Howard has talked about this investment in Fallout. It's their main thing they're invested in, despite Elder Scrolls 6 being the main game that Bethesda Game Studios are working on. I think as a whole, Fallout has a lot going on, for good reason. It's going to reach a lot of people. It's very popular, and I'll talk more about that popularity in a bit when we get to the show. So games are on the way. The New Vegas remake is more of a surprise than I think originally. Maybe last year I would have said that was less likely. I think with the success of the show, that's just, it's more likely. It's probably further away. And Fallout 5, I mean, this is years away. This is not anytime soon. This is probably 6-7 years away or something like that, which is fine. There's plenty of stuff to keep us busy. What was I going to say? I had a thought then which has now escaped my mind. Yes, I know what I was going to say. I was just going to pat myself on the back, because I think maybe about a year ago on this show we were talking about the reallocation of resources at Bethesda, which some news came out about that, and there were a lot of people online saying we're not going to get any Fallout games before 2030. And I went out of my way to say, no, we definitely will. It's very obvious that they're going to fast track this. And at the time this was 2025. No, it might have been 2024 when I was talking about it. I thought it was obvious that a new game would be on the way, and I didn't mean a Fallout 5. I don't believe I said Fallout 5 is on the way. I said a new game would be on the way, and I think that's what it is. It's going to be these remakes. They're going to tide us over. So many people are doing this. Look at Tomb Raider as well. We've got the Tomb Raider remake and then a new game coming out as well. Resident Evil kind of jump between the remakes and the new main games. It's just the way of the world in gaming these days. Some people are really kind of up in arms about remakes. I'm fine with it. Like, I don't feel like remakes have stolen, people moan about allocation of resources. I don't think remakes have directly affected us receiving new games for the most part. I look at cancellations of games like Perfect Dark, and I think that might be a situation where they've gone, we can spend our money better elsewhere, and this is Xbox at the top or whatever, Microsoft at the top, saying, no, why aren't you pumping out the Fallout games? Get rid of that new Perfect Dark game. And it's like, but that's like it's a case-by-case situation, because there's plenty of other times where we get the new games. I just mentioned Resident Evil. Get a couple of remakes and then a huge new game comes along. And so what are we now with Resident Evil? In the past 5 years, how many remakes? 2, 3, and 4. And then new games we've had Village and Requiem. Now, you could say we've had Resistance and RE-Verse as well. I mean, you can say that. They are new games. Whether you like them or not is up for debate. But mainline games, just the two. But, they're huge. Village was really well done. I've kind of softened on it a bit. But then Requiem's looking huge. It's coming next year. So those remakes seem to fund the new stuff, and I'm all for it. That was a long way to a short point. I'm going to move on. Point is, new games are on the way. Yes, and then the other thing... And you may have seen this, you may have not. So the Amazon the Fallout TV show website run by Amazon, which is very cool if you haven't seen it. It's like a, I don't know how old the median age of our listeners is, right? But in the early days of the internet, I'm thinking back to, when I say early days of the internet, I'm thinking more early 2000s, right? Like year 2000, late 90s, early 2000s. Popular TV shows started to do this, and as websites became more interactive, you started to see it kind of really exploded around the era where like Flash and Flash media really exploded online. And one website I can think about in particular, it wasn't quite alternate reality game, but Lost pumped out these kind of websites all the time, these interactive websites, and where you could kind of explore expanded sections of the universe that the show was putting out and character stuff, and it was really cool. And I'm gutted that those websites are offline. I'd love to revisit them and see what was going on. They're very much of their time, different to how the internet works these days and how websites work. But this site that Amazon have put up it kind of harkens back to that sort of thing a little bit. It's not as in-depth as I would like it to be. I'm just going to open it now. And you go to the website and it pops up, and it's like looking at the map through the Pip-Boy. And then from there you can... Here we go, message pops up. Welcome, Explorer. I'm a Securitron program to help guide you behind the scenes of the Fallout series. Explore the map. And then you go through, click Explore 3D Location. It loads... Well, I say it wants to load. It's struck. Here we go. Enter. And here, and I'm now in Vault 33, and you can kind of walk around, you can click on screens, and this is really cool. I would love to see more of this kind of stuff for TV shows and things that we love. It almost feels like there is a bit of a what was I going to say? I was going to say rebirth, that's wrong. A revisiting of stuff like this, and... yeah, it's just cool to see this kind of stuff. But anyway, you explore around and you explore enough, and there is a thing that fans have found, and that is a countdown that has appeared to something, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, counts down to roughly when the TV show ends. So when season 2 ends. I don't have the countdown in front of me at the moment. I don't know why it's not loading. Might be because I've freshly visited the website. So yeah, it counts down to the TV show. And there's been a lot of speculation about what this is. And I was talking to Eric about it. I'm just Googling something here. So I was talking to Eric about it, and we both agree that this is not the countdown to a new game. My initial feeling was this countdown could be to the reveal of a game. Since then, I've kind of softened on that, because I've discovered that there is another TV show in the works, like a game show, and I think that's being produced by Amazon. And they are probably counting down to that. Eric said it might be to merch. I think if this countdown was to merch, that's bullshit. I mean, that is really baity. It's really shit to kind of bait the fans in that way to count down to some merch that you can buy. And that would be odd. I feel like the merch would just be out there now. They'd just put it out there now while Fallout is buzzing. So I don't think it's merch. It's obviously... It could potentially be something in tandem with Bethesda and Xbox, but there seems to be the feeling that no, this is something that Amazon are... they're doing themselves, and that even Bethesda don't even know what it is. Which I find incredibly unlikely. But yeah, I heard that... they're keeping it from Bethesda as well, and it's like, I doubt it. I highly doubt that. But I think there's rumours of a game show that they're producing based on Fallout. You know, they've got these things like Beast Games and stuff like that, which I can't believe I just mentioned that on the show. But so I think they're going to be doing everything they can to capitalise on the Fallout buzz, and it's going to be probably a countdown to a new TV show. So, which, you know, fine. Let's wait and see. I'm happy to not hate on it before it arrives. I can see people already getting upset about that stuff, but let me see it, and then we'll be the judge of it. And we may cover it on the show depending on what it's like. We don't cover everything to do with Fallout. It's just not possible. But yeah, interested to see what the countdown is. And yeah, that is about it for Fallout news, I think. Let me just check my document. Yes, really, it's all about the TV show right now. So, what do we have at the moment? Fallout Season 2, the TV show. If you've not heard our reactions to the premiere, please do go back and have a listen. And as I said in this episode, I'm just going to give you my thoughts on where we're at after 4 episodes, and then Eric's going to give you his as well. So, from my perspective, let's get into it. We're 4 episodes in. My 1,000-foot thoughts, if you like, are this is easily the best TV show, game adaptation TV show ever. Is it the best video game adaptation? Yes. I can't think of a better one. There's been some really good ones in recent years, and I don't think this is the first time I've said this. My main takeaway, outside of what the actual story and what's happening within the show after 4 episodes, is each week I'm watching these episodes and I can't quite believe the quality is this good. I can't believe after the years of suffering we've all had for video game adaptations. And look, I'm not saying there's not fans of other adaptations out there. Of course there are. And I like some of them as well myself. But in terms of what I would describe as objective quality in how it's put together, the attention to detail, the performances, the production value, the presentation, it's easily the best video game adaptation ever. Movie, TV show, whatever. I'm yet to see a good reason why it's not. The main criticisms I see are people getting up in arms about lore and stuff like that, and it's just like, that's sure. If you want to, fine. That is not a reflection on the quality of the TV show because the story is doing something that you don't want it to. Yeah. So yeah, my 1,000-foot thoughts are huge double thumbs up midway through the season. I went into season 2, and I said this on our pre-season 2 premiere episode, that I did have in the back of my mind slight, not concerns. I had my back up a little bit about, you know, this came so quickly. We're used to TV shows taking 2 solid years, sometimes 3 years between seasons. Think of all the big shows out there. And this was 18 months, if that, between shows. Yeah, I think it was 18 months. So that's like unusually quick. And my worry was like, have they rushed this? Has the same care and attention gone into it that season 1 went into it? Are they speeding through just to pump out the content? Are the level of VFX going to be the same? Is something going to be off? And I did have that concern sincerely going in. I was ready to still enjoy it, but I was like, there's no way. Like, I felt something, because they'd put their foot on the gas so fast, something was going to give. So far, 4 episodes in, no. If anything, if anything, this is better than season 1 so far in terms of quality. Like, I'm just noting the little seams around the edges and stuff. Like, but even if you just want to talk about VFX, there's no ropey VFX in this. There isn't. There just isn't. And I've said many times, I cite this all the time, I used to work at a VFX studio. I know my way around the production of VFX. And when I see people trying to call out supposed bad VFX in this show, all they're doing to me is they're outing themselves, that they have no idea what they're talking about. I love HBO shows. Some of the HBO shows, the VFX in that is extremely hit and miss, and those are some of the biggest budget TV shows around. Not here in the Fallout TV show. Everything from the monsters, the blood, the explosions, the only leeway I would give there, or the only concession I would give there, is maybe a couple of the vertibird shots I've kind of noticed were very CG, but I literally mean a couple, 1 or 2 shots, and then the other shots are so perfectly, matte painted, so perfectly lit, they fit within the world so well, the composition is just perfect. And that is not something you see in TV. The Amazon money is on display here. And I've kind of jumped to presentation already, okay, I'll jump back in a minute. So, main takeaway is, yes, loving it. So far, there is nothing that this show has done that has taken it away from the best video game adaptation. Now, am I enjoying the story as much and all that? Maybe. I don't know. I'm still figuring it out. I can't really make that call yet until we are wrapped up, right? Until we're at the end of season 2 and I can look at the story as a whole. Do I like where it's going so far? Yes. And what are we now? So 4 episodes. This most recent episode 4, I would say felt like the slowest episode so far, which kind of makes sense. And it's sort of built to a cliffhanger where I feel like, right, we've had our breather. There's going to be a big episode for season 5, maybe another little breather, and then we're going to be ramping up towards the finale. So structurally, that makes sense, because I thought episodes 1, 2, and 3 were incredibly fast-paced with a lot going on, and how it jumped around between the different factions and different characters. Incredibly engaged, questions arising. I think even this episode brought up a few questions, which is good. There's been a lot to pack in this show, but episode 4, there's been nothing of Hank, for example. I felt like, that it was missing from there. We maybe spent a little bit too much time on some other stuff. Yeah, so they're cramming a lot in this. And so story-wise, I can't make a complete judgment on whether I think this is as good as season 1. I think presentation-wise, it's better than season 1 and as I said at the start there. But yeah, we'll make a full judgment on the story. But this notion of, what have we got? Lucy trying to track down her dad, Hank trying to create the mind control chip, Maximus dealing with the civil war of the Brotherhood of Steel and finding, is the Brotherhood all it was cut out to be, and all this kind of stuff. Excuse me. We've sort of fallen off the Ghoul finding his family a little bit at this midway point. He still is, but there's been very little talk of that. We've been getting the flashbacks and really kind of seeing those little drips and drabs of Mr. House, which there's not been enough Justin Theroux in the show so far, but I feel like that's been teasing and holding off, and I imagine as we go into the back end of the season, there's going to be a lot more of that. So that'll be really good. I'd be excited to see more of that, because that was a big thing. I thought this mind control chip thing was going to be more of a focal point than it has been. There has been a lot of not parking that. We've seen bits, we've seen Hank doing the tests and stuff, great stuff. But it was nothing in season 4. So it's like they are having to jump around and balance this Civil War story, the Fallout, the family story, the mind control story, the house story. Yeah, I think they're balancing it well. I do think episode 4 was the slowest episode possibly yet in the entire series. But that doesn't mean it was bad. I still enjoyed it. Episode 4 had some awesome stuff, obviously, with the Deathclaw. I thought that the Alaska opening was incredible. Something the show has been doing really well, just to talk about highs, I suppose. So I thought the Alaska opening was great, where we had Cooper and Charlie. Was it Charlie? Seeing them pre-war, and then seeing the Deathclaw pre-war, seeing the Chinese soldiers get taken out. That was all. I love that richness and visiting. You know, when it just blasted the words Anchorage, Alaska on the screen, you're like, I'm just buzzing when I see that stuff. I'm like, yes, they're doing it. It's the type of thing you imagine in your head. Are they going to visit these places? And okay, it was just one scene, but the fact they're acknowledging all this stuff and going there is huge thumbs up. And yes, another way that this show is just keeping me hooked, and I'm not taking my eyes off the screen in that stuff, because I want to see that rich context for the backstories. I think flashbacks are a great concept, you know, when done well. This show does feel like it's ramped up the flashbacks as well from season 1, which is good. And another one, so the opening to episode 2, the Shady Sands stuff, man, that's some of the best stuff of this season so far. I'm someone who kind of liked Maximus enough from season 1. I don't want to call him boring. He's not a boring character. That's not the word. But I was just way more interested in Lucy and the Ghouls story. This opening to episode 2, it was the Shady Stands. Completely turned me around to Maximus, and this is what the flashback stuff can do. Your perspective of a character and their plight and their history. Obviously, I knew that he came from Shady Sands and was, as you know, what happened to him. But to see what his parents went through and see him getting so, it just, it killed me. It broke my heart, and that flashback did more for my interest in Maximus as a character than anything so far. So I thought that opening was incredible, seeing them all set up their little society, and the disarming of the bomb was terrifying. And then it was so sad how they were sacrificing their son. And really, really great stuff. The flashback stuff in this season has just been awesome. So character-wise and story-wise, there's a lot going on here. Lucy and the Ghoul, I'm still loving both of them, but as I say, I'm kind of in the same. I do like that Lucy has been more brash, sometimes maybe more stupid, but you know, she's learning, she's naive. We know this is part of her character. She certainly, you know, she left the Ghoul in the lurch after the Scorpion attack, and he then still went to save her from the Legion. And you know, the Legion stuff was great as well. I hope they haven't completely. I hope that's not it for the Legion. I'm sure we'll maybe get some more later in the season, but and I think Eric mentioned that, we do think Macaulay Culkin's going to show up again. I thought he was good. I mean, he did take me out of it a little bit. You know, I said about season 1 how I did not like the casting of Michael Rappaport. I just think it spoiled the show. And it did spoil the show. It spoiled those scenes. He took me right out of it. I like Macaulay Culkin, but I'm just like watching the show like it's Macaulay Culkin. And I'll be honest, I felt the same about Kumail as well. Kumail Nanjiani. Now, I just think I'm not going to get all horrible and negative. Kumail Nanjiani's not for me. I only ever really enjoyed him in Silicon Valley. I don't think I've seen him in anything else that I've enjoyed. I think he's quite samey in his roles. Now, he was pretty good in this. I thought his smarminess was some of the best work he's ever done. I thought this was a really strong performance from Kumail, but it just took me out of it. I think this show's been doing so well with the caliber of performances and the actors that are in it that when these big names are dropped in, and they've got to do it. I'm really not hating on it, but just for me, in the moment, because this world is so bonkers, when I see Macaulay Culkin and Kumail Nanjiani show up, I'm just like, both of you guys, I would have rather they casted different people. Not for me, didn't work, they took me out of the scenes. Performance-wise, like I say, I thought Kumail was great. I thought Macaulay Culkin was fine. I just wish they cast other people. Anyway, I'm not going to be too negative. Otherwise, fine. But what I was saying was character development. It showed that the Ghoul, despite basically being left for quote-unquote dead, he still went through, recruited help from the NCR. You know, I guess he got weapons or got the dynamite, right? Or got the bombs. I can't remember what it is he picked up. And went to save Lucy. So he's not a heartless bastard, despite him trying to show that he is. And we know that underneath that he's experienced. He's trying to make sure Lucy doesn't drag herself down in his harsh little way. He gives the tough love. So I'm still kind of in the same place. I don't know where we're going to go. I feel like, so we got these 3 central good characters. They're not all going to stay good, right? Maximus looked like he was going down a dark path, but now he's kind of not. I don't know where we're going with these characters. I'm so intrigued to see where we end up, because Lucy's going to have to face... And this is my guess. And I said at the start of the show that I thought season 2 was going to be more focused on the ghoul, whereas season 1, it was an ensemble, a trio, but it felt like Lucy was the main character, and I thought season 2 was going to be more focused on the ghoul and his journey, and then season 3 would be Maximus. They're not really doing that. Lucy has felt like a backseat, definitely. It's definitely been more focused on Maximus, I would say, rather than the ghoul. But we're only halfway through. I could see where let's see where this balance goes. But if I had to guess where we're going to end up, inevitably we're going to reach a face-off, right? Lucy's going to find Hank. Cooper's going to be there. And what's going to happen there? I mean, it's her dad. It's Hank is Lucy's dad. Hank is the guy that's caused all this hell for Maximus and everybody. For Cooper as well. Some people are going to want revenge. Is Lucy going to want her father to face the full brunt of that revenge? She says, in her own words, she's going to bring him to justice. I really love that line. I think it was in this most recent episode. The NCR character says, "Who are you looking for? Is it someone you love or someone you hate?" I think that was the line. And in your mind, it's like, well, it's a bit of both, right? And they said, what are you going to do when you find them? And she says, bring him to justice. Lucy's not going to be able to execute her father. I don't see that happening. Is she going to step in the way? The ghoul and Lucy and Maximus's relationship is probably going to converge, and these relationships are going to be tested. And I'm very intrigued to see what happens when this collides, because they can't... We got a season 3 coming, I believe. I think it's been greenlit. And my prediction is we're not going to get a very happy ending at the end of this. I thought the ending of season 1 was incredibly, it was emotional and positive, but it felt mostly uplifting despite having a cliffhanger. Or a sort of soft cliffhanger. It wasn't a hard one. I feel like we're going to get a pretty dark ending to season 2. And I'm not sure all 3 main characters are making it out of season 2. I've said that before. Does this show exist without Walton Goggins, though? This is the thing. He's a big draw. He's an expensive part of the show. I don't know. I would have liked to... there's a lot of Maximus this season, and my theory that he was going to be the focus of season 3, it seems to kind of more be shifting that season 2 is about Maximus. I don't think Maximus is going to make it to season 3. Just fun speculation, bold speculation. The Brotherhood is crumbling. We're going to be a very dark place, I think, at the end of season 2. Anyway, so story-wise, that's kind of it in a nutshell. I'm not going to ramble for too much longer. I am absolutely loving the show. Presentation-wise, I'll quickly retouch on again. Just pitch perfect. I'm looking at the costumes of the Vault Dwellers, and I'm looking at the props and the money being spent. It shows it is expensive to do this, but it makes such a difference. When people are walking around, this stuff has got to be made from scratch, because so much of it, is unique to the universe. It looks so good. All of it looks so good. The Pit Boys, the costumes, the weapons that like I said at the start, I can't believe what I'm watching. Sometimes, this could only be done with Amazon's money. Big evil Amazon, I get it. It could only be done with their money. And I'm glad they're spending, because also, thinking about great VFX, we got VFX. The Deathclaw, it was semi-practical as well. I mean, I can't remember. I think some of the Scorpion might have been practical. I'd need to go back and watch it. I don't think it was so instantly obvious that any of it was practical. It may have been fully CG. The Deathclaw was a mix of CG and practical, and God bless them for doing that, because you're looking at it and it's practically like, oh, it's a practical effect, but it just looks better. It just looks better. I'm someone that prefers the practical Goro in the original Mortal Kombat movie to the CG Goro in the new remake. And I didn't mind that new Mortal Kombat movie. It was stupid fun. But if you asked me which Goro looked better, I'd say the stupid, weird alien animatronic one from the original movie. It just looks better because it exists in reality. It's not a bunch of pixels. Not to hate on pixels, pixels can do a lot to us, but practical effects, man, like, I just hope we continue to see more of it. And the practical sets, that makes a difference, the towns and all this kind of stuff. And there is a lot of set extension, of course. I'm not stupid. There's background extension. The Sunset Sarsaparilla Factory, like, that bottle is not really there. That's a CG bottle on the front of the building. I get it. They can only do so much, but there's so much practical going around. The Super Sledge, I fucking loved the Super Sledge. That was so much fun. What else practical wise? Most of the blood is not practical. There's a lot of CG, blood and guts, but CG squibs. I think we've got a few practical squibs in there. I'm a big fan of practical squibs, but I think it's mostly VFX and CG. It's brutal. It's gory. Yeah, I thought the Rad Scorpions looked great. I thought what we've seen of the Deathclaw looked great, and obviously we're going to get some more because episode 4 finished up on a bit of a cliffhanger, and I love that they made sure that Cooper the Ghoul looked terrified. It's like, the Deathclaw is really the first time I think we've seen him this terrified. He knows, because of obviously the flashback we saw where it messed up those Chinese soldiers. He's like, yeah, I don't want to be fucking with this, so... And I'm sure they're both going to make it out there just fine, but there's probably... my theory is that the Deathclaw, they won't take out the Deathclaw. They're going to be saved by somebody, and whether that's something to do with House or something to do with Hank, I'm not sure yet, but I think they will be saved by somebody else. And yeah, so great presentation, great music. Obviously, we talked about Big Iron from from episode 1. Lots of great songs dropped around here. I'm going to save more of that analysis to our deep dive at the end of it. But he's a demon, he's a devil. Obviously, the credits song for episode 4 was great. My wife loves that song as well. Just what else can you say? I'm having such a great time so far, 4 episodes in. I hope you are too. Please do let us know what you're thinking. We want to hear what... I think the consensus I've seen is that it's great. I'm not sure about review. Metacritic. Rotten Tomatoes, Fallout Season 2. I mentioned, obviously, in the previous episode how it smashed all those records so far. It's currently, Season 2, currently still rated 97% audience and critic. So this is not just a great video game adaptation, it's a great TV show. I have people from work who have no interest in video games, no interest in Fallout, saying they love this show. Like, I was sharing on my Instagram story that I've been watching the show and I love it, and I'm getting replies from people saying, loved Season 1, loving Season 2. And in my head, I'm like, these people are watching Fallout? Fallout has broken through the ceiling, or what's that term? It's broken through, it's transcended into the mainstream. And we're in for a ride in the future. Like, do not underestimate this. And sometimes people don't want to see their beloved thing get so big. I get that. Fallout is bigger than ever. The TV show is a big part of that. It's reaching so many people. And it's not just because it's a good game adaptation. It's because it's a really good TV show with incredible performances, incredible production value, and it's fun, and it has something to say. It's very different. Todd Howard was asked recently about, is there going to be an Elder Scrolls TV show coming soon? And he was very kind in his response, and he basically said, Fallout has more to say. And he's right, because there's fantasy TV shows coming out of our arse everywhere. Like, we don't I really don't need an Elder Scrolls TV show. Like, yeah, if we get, I'm sure we'll get one in the future, but there's so much, there isn't anything like Fallout. There just isn't. It's a very big mix of lots of things that doesn't exist. It's so unique, and I think that's why it's connecting. And that can be bold and risky. Sometimes the weird, unique stuff doesn't connect with people. Because this is made so well with people that care, and you hear them talking about it in press interviews, how much everyone cares, and I believe them. It's really showing through. This is the best video game adaptation ever so far. It is one of my favourite TV shows. It's one of the higher quality produced TV shows of the last 10 years. Easily. So, loving it. And looking forward to the next few episodes. Excited to see what's going to come. And looking forward to doing our deep dive. I am going to hand you over to Eric now. This episode is not over. He's got his thoughts running through what's been going on and what he thinks about it. I'll be back at the end for the outro. So until then, Eric, take it away.
Thank you so much, Kelsey. And man, I can't believe we're already halfway through this season. It's kind of crazy. It seems like it just started. But that's how good it's been. Like, you blink and it's half over, and you're just left wanting more. You're not. It's not that you're not enjoying it. It's just you're enjoying it so much that it's over before you know it. So I'm gonna give my thoughts on it here. I'm not gonna go through the whole thing like I did with the first episode, because we could be here for another 4 to 5 hours just from everything they packed in these 3 more hours that we've had since that first episode. But if you do want breakdowns, I've been doing these weekly with Sassy Lady for the Fallout Roundtable podcast. Definitely check that out on either YouTube or your podcatcher of choice. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into this. So one thing that I've noticed with these first few episodes is it seems like each episode kind of focus on a different faction. So with the first episode, it kind of focused on House, Hank, and Vault-Tec. Like, they introduced us to Mr. House right away, and, we find out that Mr. House has a body double. Yes, Justin Theroux is not the brother Anthony. I don't know why people are still saying that, but no, it's, Rafi Silver clearly is a public body double. And I'm not saying that these episodes aren't having glimpses at other people. Like, we did get the Ghoul and Lucy and, Vault 31 through 33 in the episode, but we didn't see Maximus in that first episode, and I was kind of surprised by that. But that's because we got the focus shifted to the Brotherhood of Steel for episode 2. But, we also did get the Ghoul and Lucy in episode 2 as well. And they had to deal with the Rad Scorpions. That was awesome. I did make an observation in the episode that I did with Fallout Roundtable that it seems like the Ghoul is someone who has been playing these games forever. They're grizzled because they've been through all this. He's been wandering the wasteland for over 200 years. He's been through all this. So when he hears somebody calling for help in an abandoned hospital, he knows that more often than not, if he does put forth the effort to try and save this person, he's going to have to save his own ass in the process, because whatever is causing this person to call for help is not something that's going to be fun. I mean, not saying that it's not fun going and killing whatever it is in the game, but the risk versus reward is probably not going to be worth it. So then we have Lucy, who is going through all this shit for the first time. And she wants to be the White Knight, someone who just goes and saves everybody because that's the right thing to do. She doesn't know that she goes in there, she's also going to be dealing with something that's pretty nasty. And also, to hell with all these evil factions. If you show them a little bit of kindness, maybe they'll turn their way around and actually do the right thing. How often does that actually happen in the Wasteland? It's possible, but yeah. So they go into this hospital, and this is where we see members of the Legion for the first time. And, the ghoul, who has been around for over 200 years, recognizes them right away. He even was like, hey, aren't you guys a little far west? Your camp's normally on the far east. So he goes and he kills the guy, the Legionnaire, right away, and then tries to eat him, and his body is full of the toxins from the rad scorpion, but he doesn't know that it's a rad scorpion at the time. He just knows that something filled him with toxins. And Lucy is trying to save his slave woman. There's only one stim pack, and the ghoul tells Lucy not to do it. And then come the rad scorpions. So we see these bark scorpions, and then out of the room that's been chained up, which we all should know that that's for a good reason, but Lucy doesn't know any better. Out comes the big mama, and it's actually eating one of the smaller bark scorpions, and then all hell breaks loose. So the giant rad scorpion stabs the slave woman in the back, and then stabs the ghoul in the leg before it gets killed. And then Lucy has to make a choice. Use the stim pack on the ghoul, or use the stim pack on the slave woman. And Lucy figures, I can save this woman with the stim pack. She's going to die without it. You're not going to die without it, because you're not human. She flat out tells him that. He throws the whole golden rule thing in her face, and she's like, that's for humans, and you're disgusting. Which, I would have shot her if it were me. Like, I would have been like, fuck you. Really? And then she just leaves with the slave woman, just leaving the ghoul there to, deal with all that on his own. Which, again, I would have been furious if that were me. So she's leaving with the slave woman, and she's like, don't worry about him. The slave woman's like, I wasn't worried. But we do know what she does have to be worried for, because that'll come back to bite both of them. So then we go back to Hank. Hank is just having a ball in wherever he is, whatever warehouse or bunker or vault that he's in. Which I forgot to mention that we do see Shady Sands being bombed by Hank. I love how they actually tied the, patrolling the Mojave makes me wish for nuclear winter. That line that we all have heard a million times in the game. They kind of gave us an in-world reason for that, and it's because of these mind control chips that House has been working on. And Hank has been too, apparently. So he's been trying to get these things to work on mice. It's not working on the mice. I can't remember if it was episode 2 or episode 3 where he actually tries to use it on a human. And no, we see a lot of exploding heads. So... and Hank is just like, well, try again. But we actually see Shady Sands, we meet Maximus's parents, and, we see a water purifier, which looked awesome. It was just like from the games. And then Hank sends a nuke to Shady Sands from this caravan guy. So he mind controlled the guy, and he actually has control of this nuke from his pit boy, and had a failsafe because Max's dad actually was able to disarm the nuke, but he had the failsafe, so he made sure that it got blown up. And Don and I were kind of speculating on this, and they kind of confirmed this later on. But Reclamation Day is actually when there are no civilizations left. Like, everybody's gone, so we can rebuild from absolutely nothing. And that is one of the reasons why Hank actually nuked Shady Sands, is because it was actually starting to be a flourishing civilization. Like, it actually was starting to resemble pre-war civilization, and Vault-Tec didn't want that, so they nuked the competition. But we also get flashbacks to pre-war America with Cooper, and we see that a lot of these vets lived in neighborhoods that really resembled Sanctuary Hills from Fallout 4. And they, I don't know if it was just because Cooper was a vet or if it was because he worked for Vault-Tec. I don't think that was the case, because I don't think Nate and Nora worked for Vault-Tec. But we do see a Vault-Tec rep running around. They're doing drills like, Great War drills, where they're saying that nukes are coming, and get to the bunker or get to the vault. They were running tests like this, so when the time comes, a lot of people are like, okay, it's just another drill, when it's actually nukes are incoming. But everybody's losing their minds, like, oh my god, it's happening. No, Cooper is like, no, it's just a drill. But it is interesting. You kind of have to wonder if they did this in Sanctuary Hills too. I mean, we did see the Vault-Tec rep, but is that something that happened on a daily basis, or maybe once a month? Who knows? But it was interesting to see, and it was a great callback to Fallout 4. Episode 2 is also the episode that we see Norm reawaken the Vault 31 Vault-Tec people, and they are looking for a way to get out. So at first, they are running around like chickens with their heads cut off, and Norm gives them a person, a person in charge to follow, saying that these are Bud's, orders, not his. But, we know. So let's move on to episode 3. We see at the end of episode 2 that Lucy gets kidnapped by the Legion. She's just kind of like, if it helps, I'm nice. I don't think that helps with the Legion, but she didn't know who they were. So, she's in front of a Caesar. Turns out that there's more than one. And we find out that the person that Macaulay Culkin is playing in this season isn't Caesar, it is a Leggett. I think that they said that his name is Lacerta Leggett, which is interesting. So his armor is pretty much exactly like Lanius's, which is pretty cool. Also, sorry for all the background noise. My dogs are chasing each other and being insane. So we find out that there are actually 2 camps of Caesar's Legion these days, because Edward Sallow, I think his name is, the guy who was the original Caesar, the founder, has passed, which may upset some people, but, it's been 15 years since the events of New Vegas. We knew he had a brain tumor that was going to kill him anyway. So, and yes, you can heal him in the game if you choose, but that's only if you're siding with the Legion. So, he was older. He was probably going to die anyway, even if you didn't do anything. So, yeah, the guy who was Caesar during the games is dead. And he had chosen his successor, but he wrote it down on a sheet of paper, and it's in his pocket. But both sides of the camps will not let the other person look to see who Caesar had chosen. So they're both claiming that they are Caesar, and won't let the truth be revealed because it's ridiculous. But basically they don't want to take the chance of losing control. So Lucy is standing in front of him. The slave girl gets killed immediately because she had lost her legionnaire. And Lucy is trying to speech check these guys. I mentioned this on the Fallout Roundtable, but I don't think she has once passed a speech check. We've seen her try speech checks so many times, and she always fails them. And she even insults them by basically saying one of the things that they do isn't actually from ancient Rome. It's from the medieval times, only done by awful people. And I'm like, girl, you're not helping your situation whatsoever. So she's talking to Macaulay Culkin's character, the legate, and basically trying to convince him that everything they're doing is evil. And he basically says that it doesn't matter if it's good or evil. What history remembers is people with strength. And they're preparing for a war with the other Legion camp, with the NCR, with Vegas, just everybody. And long story short, Lucy is on a cross and still trying to speech check them. But we also get flashbacks to Cooper going to this veterans ceremony where his friend Charlie is getting an award for bravery. And we see Mr. House talking to him, basically acknowledging that he knows everything about Cooper. And Cooper doesn't recognize him because this is the real Mr. House, not the body double. And I forgot to mention, we also see how Cooper, the ghoul, gets out of the hospital. He basically takes the stinger, pus sac, whatever the hell it is, out of his leg that the rad scorpion put there. But it is interesting. We have this long conversation with House and Cooper in the bathroom. And Cooper does realize that House isn't a vet, even if he doesn't really know who House really is. I loved his line about how, a real vet wouldn't be trying to discuss something with a man who's got a dick in his hand. While all this is going on, we've got Harkness, who is the guy who shows up at the end of episode 2. The guy in the trailer who's like, well, I see, we've got a civil war. Why wasn't I invited? We have representatives from Grand Canyon, Yosemite, and Coronado. They're all here to discuss, this, what to do with cold fusion, and they're trying to keep the Commonwealth out of it. Coronado, that guy is, I think his name's like Brian Thompson or whatever. He plays a villain in a lot of different things, and he definitely plays one here. Like, he is very misogynistic. Thing I recognize him from is Mortal Kombat Annihilation. He played Shao Kahn. But he's also been in the X-Files. He was in several episodes of the X-Files. I definitely recognize him from that. Several other things. But, yeah, but he's being very misogynistic and abrasive. But, Quintus is trying to, keep the Commonwealth away from the cold fusion. And this dude, Harkness, his riz is off the charts because he's trying to convince Maximus everything he can, because he realizes that Maximus is a guy that he wants on his side, because he just watched Maximus, when he shows up, win a fight to the death with this other Brotherhood of Steel guy that looks like one of the Harris twins, Ron or Don Harris. If you know them from wrestling, then you know who they are. But he's doing everything. He's trying to show him that the Commonwealth is the side you want to be on, because they've got all the cool stuff, and he's actually succeeding in all of his speech checks with Maximus. They go and take out some Securitrons. And speaking of Securitrons, we also had a conversation with the Ghoul and Victor. We knew we'd see Victor, but Victor in the show was awesome. Not much of a fan of Victor these days because I really think it's just Mr. House putting on a face that is going to be more appealing than the ruthless, Securitrons. But that remains to be seen. And Victor points him in the direction of some NCR. Which, if this is all that's left of the NCR, they are, dead, basically. There's only 3 of them, and one of them is played by the guy who plays Uncle Rico in Napoleon Dynamite. That was kind of fun to see. And, Cooper straight up tells them, like, they're telling him, oh, we're gonna win, and the Ghoul's like, if this is what winning looks like, I'd hate to see what losing looks like. So Cooper is there wanting some help to take on the Legion so he can rescue Lucy. So even when Lucy basically just told him to go fuck himself, he still wants to help her out. So, which I think is kind of cool. So he basically just goes and is like, you know what? I'm going to negotiate. So he's going to try and negotiate with the Legion. Basically tells them he knows where to find the NCR, but he sees all these dynamite barrels. And then it flashes back to Charlie at the veterans thing. He gives Cooper his lighter that he won for saving people when it took killing 3 people to save 1 person. And Cooper is holding this lighter, and he's rescued Lucy, and he's like, I'm either done something really cool or really stupid. And then we see explosions happen, and the Legion, I guess that they thought that the other camp had set it off, so they're now fighting with each other. So we haven't seen the Legion in episode 4. I do know that we will see them at least once more because there's footage of Macaulay Culkin's character killing another Legion member, and that we haven't seen that yet. So on to episode 4. So we end episode 3 with Maximus killing Harkness because Harkness was going to kill Thaddeus and a bunch of ghoul kids who have been, going through all these Sunset Sarsaparilla bottles in the plant. He's just trying to get the caps from them. Hopefully, he could be looking for star bottle caps also. We don't know. So now Thaddeus has to pose as Harkness, and he's doing a really shitty job of it, which is hilarious. And the episode actually starts with an Alaska flashback, which was really cool. And we see Charlie and Cooper basically get taken out by some Chinese, and then their asses get saved by a Deathclaw. So for those of you who don't know, Deathclaws were pre-war. They weren't just a mutation from the radiation. They actually were experiments on Jackson chameleons and some other animals. So mostly Jackson chameleons, combined with the DNA of other animals. So now we've got Lucy, who is recovering. She's tied to an IV bag and waking up. And the NCR are saying they're not sure how much of a friend that the Ghoul is to her, but he saved her. And we find out later, or not much later, but we find out that she was being given buff out. I don't know if it's all that they had or what, but she ends up becoming addicted to it. And so, the Ghoul is basically telling her she can wait it out or she can just take more drugs. And why they said drugs instead of chems, who knows? Maybe it's, because I think non-fans would have known that chems meant drugs. But anyway, they give him some weapons and she's on her, they're on their way. So we're coming to Vegas, and the ghoul wants to go around through Freeside, and she's like, no, I'm tired of all these detours. We're going straight through. Apparently she never went to the quarry. There's a reason why the ghoul wanted to go around, but we're going through and we see the kings. Now, she just straight up obliterates them all, including the king himself. She killed the king. We see him at the end wearing his white jacket and had a guitar strapped to the back. And basically said it didn't matter that she killed them all because they're just ghouls. And you can tell that Cooper wasn't too happy about that. I will say, though, that if this is all that we see of the kings, I'm going to be a little upset. Because they basically just made them cannon fodder for Lucy and her drug-induced rampage. A lot of people don't seem to think so, and it's possible that we'd see more of them in Freeside if and when we actually go through Freeside. Because the Cooper kept saying, hey, let's go to Freeside, but she wouldn't listen. So yeah, if they only include the kings in the show to be cannon fodder, I'm going to be mad. But it is what it is. So we go back to the Brotherhood of Steel, and basically all hell breaks loose. Quintus knew that Maximus killed Harkness. The other chapters are trying to schmooze who they think is Harkness, but it's actually Thaddeus, into making a deal with them. They're all trying to get his favor. And then, they end up having to kill everybody. Dane steals the cold fusion, gives it to Maximus. Maximus and Quintus end up going at it, but, because Maximus actually admits to Quintus that he killed Harkness because he was going to kill ghoul kids. And, Quintus keeps saying that he never should have saved Max, even though he's been trying to get on his good side. You're my son, I raised you. I never should have done that, though, because you're a freaking heretic. It's messed up. The woman who is the leader of the, I think it was the Grand Canyon chapter, had said that she was going to stab the Coronado guy through the mouth, which she does. I don't think that would kill him, but so he may still be alive. I don't know, but I would think that she would have stabbed him more than that one time. The Yosemite guy is just loving all of this. A lot of people don't like how this season has made the Brotherhood of Steel dumb. I don't know if it's really that they're dumb. It's just, some chapters are meatheads. It seems like they're all about blowing shit up and, rock'em sock'em power armor brawls and things like that. The Commonwealth chapter apparently is the strongest out of all of them. So, I don't know. I think it just kind of portrays that each one is different, but yeah, some are definitely more likable than others. Maximus escapes with cold fusion, and Thaddeus is with him. So we'll see what happens in episode 5. That was definitely an interesting way to end I guess you could call it a mid-season finale. That wasn't the end of the episode, but, where we left off with the Brotherhood. So now we're on the strip with Lucy and the Ghoul, and everything is destroyed. We see Gamora, we see the Ultralux, we see the Lucky 38. Everything looks destroyed. And we notice that the Geiger counter on the Pip-Boy is ticking. And that should have been a big clue right there. But Lucy finds an eggshell and it's like, oh my god, that's such a huge chicken. And Cooper is like, that ain't no chicken. So then we get our second shot of a death claw. And, Lucy's all like, oh, we can take it. It's fine. We can take it. And then she looks over and just sees the look of absolute terror on Cooper's face. And that's when she realizes, oh, shit. this ain't good. You see, at first she's got this, smug, look on her face like, no big deal. And then her eyes get wide. And with good reason, because that Deathclaw does not look friendly. So that is actually where the episode ends. So I've been wondering, how are all the king's ghouls? What happened that made them all ghouls? And are they all ghouls? Because we don't know. We only saw, 5, 6 of them? Maybe there's more that are in Freeside that aren't ghouls, but something happened on the strip. Like, nukes had to have gone off on the strip. Like, what set them off? Who was it? Did the Legion try to invade the strip with nukes, with like Fat Man rocket launch, Fat Man mini nuke launchers, or did somebody just plant bombs around the city and had them go off? Something irradiated the strip, which had to have been what caused the ghouls to become, or the kings to become ghouls. But it's an interesting, like I said, this kind of was the mid-season finale, but, we'll have another episode next week or this coming week. So there's not really a break like there usually would be for, things on normal television, whatever that is these days. A lot to unpack. I guess I did kind of go through. I didn't break down everything frame by frame like I certainly could have. There was definitely some stuff that I kind of skipped over, but I did kind of go through the stuff that stood out in my mind, which I guess was a lot. But I guess, again, that just kind of shows you how much they pack in these 1 hour long episodes. It's kind of one of those like blink and you miss it types of deals, which I have been watching these episodes I think 2 or 3 times, because I watched them on my own. I've been watching them with the watch alongs that the Modus Files Discord has been doing, and then more often than not I watch them again before I end up recording the breakdowns with Sassy Lady on the Fallout Roundtable podcast, which again we go through. It's usually about an hour and a half long that we take to go through each episode. So anyway, let me know what you guys have been thinking of these episodes, what you like, what you don't like, what you hope to see before the end of the season, what you hope that we get in season 3. My theory is that we'll continue to travel east as the seasons progress. So anyway, yeah, I'm going to leave it off here and can't wait for episode 5. So until next time, I am going to hand this back over to Kelsey, and I will see everybody in the wasteland.
Thank you, as always, to Eric for his thoughts, his contribution to this show. Always holding it down for us. Always, if you're not following Eric on social media and you're a Fallout fan, you should, because he talks about it more than I do. And we will, of course, be looking forward to getting together and going through the whole of season 2, giving our thoughts in a face-to-face discussion when the show wraps up. But until then, what did you think of the season so far? 4 episodes in, where do you stand? Have you got any thoughts and theories about what's coming? Who's your favourite character? Is there something that's not working for you? What do you think is shit about the show? Let us know. Would really love to engage with you more. Do come and follow us on Twitter. I hate that godforsaken site, but we are on there. We're on BlueSky. Come and engage with. You can leave us a comment on Spotify. Leave us a rating and review. I really have rambled a lot this episode, so this is a very quick outro just to say thank you, as always, to everybody for listening. We have had lots of new listeners with previous episodes. Obviously, the buzz around the TV show is a big part of that. And yeah, if it's your first time listening to us, do go back and check out previous episodes, our retrospectives on the games. We've got loads of lore episodes, loads of updates, covering the stuff from Fallout 76. Our Fallout 4 retrospective was one of the big recent ones. Do go and check that out as well. Oh, I know what I forgot to mention. The Fallout 4 music dropping in episode 4. I loved that as well. Anyway, gonna leave it there. Thank you as always, everyone, for listening. Looking forward to speaking with you all again soon. Take it easy. Until next time, stay safe out there, wanderers.